Good afternoon. Exciting day. Kind of like Christmas before Christmas for college coaches, being able to get through the early signing date. I think we came out really well. Excited about all the young men that we have signed today. A lot of hard work goes into it, not only from our assistant coaches, but Ian, Dino, and his staff. A lot of professors, support people on campus really come through for us during this process that starts, as you all know, earlier and earlier every year. The recruiting process takes off. There is no off season in recruiting, and so with that, I'm going to make a couple just statements in general. Probably make a quick comment on all of the young men, and then I'll open it up for questions. But I think when you look at this class overall, all of them are multi-sport athletes. Again. Love seeing young men who compete in multiple sports, not just limited to football. Allows them to have a higher ceiling. All of them were all conference at one point. 13 of the 20 were captains. 4 of them were National Honor Society. And 6 of them were some sort of player of the year. Could have been state player of the year, county, region, conference, the best of the best in their area. So was impressive and again, a great job done by our staff and all the people that were associated with our recruiting. As I run through some names, JoJo, Azure, what a unbelievable talent. And we intentionally put down his position as football because that's what he plays. He's an unbelievable football player. Played defensive end, outside stand-up, outside linebacker, fullback, tailback. You turn on his highlight, first clips, him kicking off the start of a game and him going down making the tackle. And so we knew early. We have a great connection with Coach Westy. At that high school, we've had a number of players that have played for us that Westy's coached, and we knew he was one that we wanted to make sure that was wearing the green and yellow at the end of it. Marty Brown, Marty's what he goes by. Running back out of Omaha, Creighton Prep. Again, another high school that traditionally has excellent football. A school that you've seen their name pop up quite a bit in recruiting here at NDSU, but a bigger back. Excited to have almost nearly a 6 foot, over 200-pound running back that can come in and really help us in the Missouri Valley Conference. Jalen Crumby's the most recent commit we had. Was on his official visit just 2 weeks ago. Young man from Armwood, Florida, which is a suburb of Tampa Bay. Armwood would be I believe the same hometown as Bruce Anderson, who went to Newsom High School. So kind of an area that we're familiar with, an area that our brand is recognizable. The position that's always of interest is the quarterback position. Trey Drake, a young man from New York, Jamestown, New York, a little bit outside of our normal recruiting territory. Young man that reached out to us. We had some connections via high school coaches, quarterback trainers. Kind of the word got to us. He came out here a number of different times, came to camp this summer, really proved that he was of exceptional talent, was the type of player we were looking for, not only from his arm strength, but his athleticism as well. Unbelievable family. His dad is his head high school basketball coach and athletic director. So I know he had a game, I want to say 2 nights ago, and I think I asked him how the head coach was doing, and he made it no comment. So I think the head coach gets on, which rightfully so he should. Jalen Duffy, really a high-level corner out of Warren Township. A young man that's been committed for a long time for us, has really been a big part of the recruiting process as far as our commits, kind of creating a chat line, a text line, and communicating back and forth. Jalen was one of the front runners in that and has really helped. Josh Hendricks, a linebacker from Dallas Center Grimes, which is just right outside the Ames area. A very talented football player, but also exceptional in track and field. Really excited to get him up here. I think he's going to fit right into that linebacker room. Probably has a lot of the same skill set that you see from like a Logan Kopp, a Cole Wisniewski, a very intelligent, very twitchy football player that's going to make some big plays for us down the road. Victor Isle, a defensive end from Grand Island, big, long kid, can take the edge. Everyone loves the pass rush. We know that. I think he's going to grow into a big body, be able to play a big 6 technique. One of the unique things for him is that we have a video of him running the 100-meter championships in the Nebraska state champion or track and field state championship. So a big kid that can run. Really excited about his ability and what he's going to do for Code Green. Bo Johnson, kind of the initial recruit we got from the offensive line. Bo's out of Spring Lake Park. A lot of you remember that's where Zach Johnson is from. Still an option team. And I remember when he came to camp for 3 days, like, Coach, we don't pass pro. I'm not sure I know what to do. I said, perfect. You'll just do it our way then. You don't have any bad habits to this point. Big, long kid, probably had to fight off some teams late in the process. I know right now we have him weighing 241. He's probably a little bit heavier than that at this point, but a body that when Jim Kramer gets a hold of him, I think we'll see really take off and go for us. Colin Knorr, young man from South Prairie, a legacy. Dad played for the Bison. Dad played defensive line for the Bison. Really excited. Anytime you get a recruit, either brothers or sons of former players, I think that's, again, another thing that sets this program apart, just the volume of connections that we have. Young men hear stories from their dad, see the relationships that dad and former teammates have or brother has with current teammates, and still want to be part of it. And I think, again, like I've always said, our players are our best recruiters at times. Colin's going to either be a tight end linebacker, kind of a big athlete right now. Again, one of those bodies that it'll be interesting how the dining center and the weight room affect him. Jack Lewinsky. Jack is from one of the blue blood high schools in the state of Minnesota, Minnetonka. Very successful program. Very successful football family. Dad played for the Vikings for 7-8 years. Very intelligent offensive lineman. Can probably play any of the two interior offensive line positions, but has played a lot of center. And so, again, having that skill set is critical as we move forward and as our team ages. Oliver Lucht, I'm going to throw him and Brennan Palmer together since they're neighbors. Probably the first time we've ever recruited guys that live across the street from one another. But, two young men that had a terrific year at Davies High School. Both of them super athletic, super involved. Brennan involved in track and field. And Oliver, a big baseball player in the summer. So both of them came to camp, showed that they were what we needed. Oliver will play linebacker, probably more the will position for us, potentially Mike. Brennan's one of those in-betweens right now. We signed 4 defensive linemen in this year's class, and I anticipate at least one of them, one of the DNs or so-called DNs, growing into a defensive tackle at some point. Odds are, again, like I said before, when the dining center, our nutritionist, and the weight room get a hold of him. Brennan's 6'4", 250 pounds almost right now. He may walk out of high school at 260, and that might just happen organically. Abe Myers, a defensive end from Sioux Falls, another Washington High School football player. We've had a fair number of those young men here already, and Abe's going to be an unbelievable defensive end for us. Very athletic, high school wrestler. And again, enjoy those type of guys because we know they understand pad level. Another familiar name, Najee Nelson, brother of Raja. Already told Najee this morning that he better tell his brother to watch out. We're going to lock him down here come next fall camp or this next summer. And Najee was excited about that. But young man from Lakeville North. I think we currently have 4 players on the team from that high school. I've had a number of others that have come here from that Lakeville or that south suburban area of Minneapolis. Had other offers, other really good football schools out there that offered. But, again, you see a younger brother wanting to come and join his brother at the collegiate level. I think it speaks volumes for our current roster and our program. Jaden Pickett. Jaden will be an outside linebacker, play that Sam position. He'll be here in January. Look forward to him getting here right after we return from Frisco and get him going in the weight room immediately. A long athletic outside linebackers, played safety, played DN, did a little bit of everything for Riverside High School over in the Milwaukee area. But I've known Coach Wagner for years, and I think we hit a home run here with Jaden and kind of stole one from the state of Wisconsin. Nate Schneckelhoff, offensive lineman, big offensive lineman, legit 6'5", 265 pounds. North Scott, Iowa, which is down kind of near the Quad Cities. Young man that came up here for camp. showed us that he had that tackle body and tackle skill set that's necessary to play at our level. He too comes from a football family. Dad played for Mel Churchma at Northwest Missouri back in their heyday, and I think Dad's just as excited as Nate is to be joining the program. Austin Schultz from right across the river. Austin, outstanding interior offensive lineman that's going to help us. Anytime we can get a local big body like Austin, I think that's a win for our program. Excited about just, a kid from right here in town, offensive lineman that's going to come and be an impact player. Reese Sheldon. Reese has been to camp probably, he might win the most outstanding camper because I think he came to camp 9 years in a row. He came as a youth camper, originally was from Fargo, then moved to Cloquet, still kept coming back to camp, and came to camp, proved that he belonged, got an offer at camp, and the rest is history. But going to add a lot of depth to that DB room. We'll end up playing safety for us with the DB room. Noah Taylor from Lamont, Lamont, Illinois. Lamont, those of you who know, I think 13-1, 12-1 this year. Very successful, big class football in the state of Illinois. Noah is a super sharp kid, strong safety type body. He's one of those guys that potentially, because of how physically fit and put together he is right now, does have a chance to play earlier in his career. I mean, I bet, we have him at 198. I bet he's over 200 pounds right now. And that's one of the things sometimes that determines, how accessible are they early in their careers, just, how durable are they. And then the last one, another defensive lineman from Minnesota, from Egan High School, Keenan Wilson. Keenan came to camp, has some twitch, a little bit bigger than maybe what we normally get on recruiting day for defensive tackles, but his explosiveness, his ability to rush the quarterback, you can see that in his stats, but really excited about him. And, Egan hadn't had the most success until this last year, and I think a lot of it's due to a young man like Keenan getting his team excited about football and really being a great captain and leader for that unit. And, you can see that by the success that program had this year. I'll open it up for questions.
Matt, is there a way or words adjectives to describe overall this whole class?
Well, I think it's heavy on the line of scrimmage. And part of that was, if you look at our roster right now, and again, I've kind of joked that roster management is all over the place, but in 2 years from now, I think we have 4 senior offensive linemen and 3 senior defensive linemen. And so trying to take a proactive approach to that where, hey, class in the season of 23, probably going to redshirt most of these linemen. 24, can we start utilizing some of them, much like what you're seeing right now with our current roster, a lot of redshirt freshmen being able to take some reps off some of our veterans. So I think that was the emphasis going into it. And then, again, we didn't have the biggest class in the world, and part of that's because we have 7 players coming back for a 6th year.
Last year at tailback, no wide receivers in this class. Is that just you're so deep and so young?
That's just at this moment right now. I mean, there's still the second signing date. Things could change. We're not necessarily done. I didn't mean to interrupt you either. I apologize. But we feel like there's some depth. I walk into the indoor facility every day, and I see Makai Collins. I see Carson Hegerly. I see Cedric Wall, John Gores, Kellen Entz, guys that are in that freshman class. And I have a tough time saying we should go recruit another wide receiver. And then you have Zach Mathis coming back for his 6th year, Braylon Henderson, Rajah Nelson. Eli Green has started to, so I feel comfortable with the young men that we have. And I think by going to find a guy, all of a sudden, what message are you telling that deep room?
What role did you guys play in JoJo's medical issues when you found out?
Just being supportive. Unfortunately, with us playing games and preparing for games, we have yet to get over there, but I anticipate, I know personally, I'll probably get over that first week that we're available, get back on the road, and probably sit there with him through one of his treatments. He's an unbelievable kid. Has a smile on his face, handling it like a champ, has maintained his weight, and so he knows the Bison care. I think a lot of our members of our football team probably after that visit got a pretty good idea of what was going on, and I think they've been supportive as well. Continue to reach out to his dad, making sure everyone's doing good.
To pick up a game that quick in 2 years.
You talk about from the homeschool? Yeah. Well, I think probably bite down on your mouthpiece and just go. And that's the type of kid he is. I bet Westy put him at spots where see ball and go tackle it. I think he had some soccer background, so thus the kicking, and a kid that loves the weight room.
Thing that stood out to you the most about Oliver Luck out at Davies?
Just he has some toughness to him. He's got a little nasty to him. He ain't afraid to stick his neck in there and tackle. I know from having the opportunity of watching him play this fall, he got a little competitiveness in it. It'll be fun to see, how he transitions into college because extremely confident young man right now. But it'll be good. It's exciting when you can get, the majority of the best players out of the state. That's an exciting day for you.
You lead the nation in brothers.
Well, we've tried to put some numbers together. I know Ian did a little study for us, and maybe even Ryan. I think I'm guessing, but in I'm just going off the last 8 or 9 years. As long as I've been here, I want to say we're pushing 20 sets of brothers in that time.
Word of mouth as well, that just when one has a good experience, the other can follow.
No one likes to hear my rationale, but I'm going to explain it to you anyway. Typically, the younger brother's more talented. And the younger brother hears all the stories, the Kramerisms, maybe it's Coach Entzisms, the double rep, all the things that are tough about Bison football. But they also hear the relationships, the excitement, the packed Fargo Dome. They experience, and they still want to be here, even though they're probably the more talented of the two, have other opportunities. But they kind of, I think, feel like they're part of this program already. I can speak for, I guess, personal experience. Part of the reason why Kellen was here, because, he'd already been here for 8 years. Dad, I was already a Bison. I think a lot of these kids, the younger brother, already feel like they're part of the program.
You talked about it a little bit in a previous press conference, but you get portal exits and decommitments, and all of a sudden there's all this money available. How do you feel like your staff what kind of job do you feel like your staff did with some kind of those late hurdles and putting this thing all together while the football staff is trying to win a national championship?
I thought we balanced it about as well as you can. I mean, you look at the caliber of class. I think this one is as good of any. Our needs were addressed. We're still not necessarily done with recruiting. You're never done with recruiting. Not these days. There are some things that we're doing from a portal standpoint. Hunter Zenzen will be joining us spring semester, along with Marcus Shepard. Marcus is a corner from Bowling Green. Those are two young men that I can comment about. And, of course, I mentioned earlier, we got 7 6-year players coming back. So you have to take into account where do those guys fit. And, it's, again, nobody's guaranteed a 6th year. You just have access to one. That's a conversation we have to have, but I think those 7 young men are going to help us continue to be successful, and I'd be nuts not to let them come back and finish their career here.
Trouble with trying to explain quarterbacks in the schools, you end up comparing them to like a college football Hall of Famer or a current NFL player.
I mean, that's comparing is what we all do, right?
Where does Trey Drake kind of fit in? Not from a quality, but from a skill set. Who does he remind you of anyone? Will he remind Bison fans of anyone?
Boy, I'm setting him up for failure by saying that. He's longer than Cam, probably, without having watched getting him in our offense to say, can he run the football, like some of the other quarterbacks has. I think that remains to be seen, but I know that he can make all the throws. Coach Hedberg put him through a extensive, workout at camp, and again, throwing from the collegiate hash to the field, all those things, seeing if he can do it, and challenging him. Getting him on the board at some point and seeing what kind of retention he has as far as full field concepts, half field concepts. So I think he's going to blend in really well. He's super athletic, comes from a family where athletics is kind of, it's not the only thing, but it's very important to them.
How much was the door left open on Hunter Zenzen? You recruited him pretty strenuously out of high school to have it come back now.
I think he always knew that if things didn't work out, that there was an opportunity here. I think as a program, we try to leave that message with anyone who decides to go somewhere else or chooses to go to a Power 5 program that with the portal, the door really never is closed. There's always possibilities. We wish them the best of luck, and you know, no hard feelings, and send them on their way. And we do keep track of guys who go other places just to kind of see what kind of success they're having, because you have to be prepared for the what ifs out there.
Portal, do you think, and I'm not speaking of Hunter specifically, but just in general, are kids more willing to give a shot at a Power 5, knowing that they can have the fallback through the portal more easily today than they did 5 years ago? Or
I don't know necessarily, because I think there's fewer Power 5 spots available because of the portal too. So I think you see kids take them. I think the issue that you've seen, and I'm going to get on my soapbox probably a little bit here, is you see fewer and fewer kids truly embracing programs earlier in their career, because there's that door over there still always open where, man, coach, he coached me hard today. I didn't get a play, all the same things that people from my era went through, but now there's an avenue to go find where we think it's potentially greener.
Hunter not being here next year and Tamarick not being here next year, do you have
Who said Tamarick wasn't going to be here?
Tamarick?
Yeah, he's graduated, but
Okay.
I anticipate he'll be back.
It doesn't make any sense.
I should have the mic up here. I could have just dropped it. He's enrolled for school, so
walk through the
he
help and
did.
stuff?
I think there's a lot of Noah Gindorf's walked twice. We tried to do him to get it 3 times. So, nope. He's had conversation about continuing to play, and I think he realizes that this program values him. He's been an excellent addition to the program. It's always fun when you see guys like Tamarick or Luke Laciento, Braden Thomas a year ago, guys who are only here for a couple years, but by the end of their experience, they're full-fledged Bison. They should have been here their whole career.
Well, I was going to ask if you had a big back on potentially your portal shopping list, as it were. Do you still have a portal shopping list?
We do, but at this time right now, I'm not going to dive into the details of it.
Health status for the championship game?
I anticipate he'll be ready to go.
Brothers, most of our brothers have another game in them together.
Oh, sure. They both got eligibility. They'll be ready next year. At least one of them's gonna be healthy coming up. I think there's a good chance. I thought we were talking about recruits, not current roster right now.
Weren't out there that on Twitter saying that they'd already committed, that Raj's brother being one of them, and then I think that was the cornerback Crumby.
Yep.
Are those late decisions, or were they kids who made a decision and just didn't make it public, or how
Just late decisions and didn't make it public. It's kind of nice, where it's not about how many likes I can get. I think the guys were both comfortable with their decisions. I think you see that with a couple of the transfer guys. Some kids, it's not about, the social media and the attention. It's just about finding the right place. I think knowing Jalen had to sort through some things. He had some other offers out there. And, our staff did a great job, Coach Pauly in particular, because he recruits that area for us.
Well, I know you probably try to stay within the region, but do you be more careful, like going to Florida or Texas just because, homesick or different reasons with the portals that changed, or is it still the same evaluation as you normally do when you kind of go outside of your core footprint?
No, we have some kind of some requirements for us to take a look at a young man who's in the portal. Of course, having a previous experience helps. So if it is a young man from Florida who, is leaving institution A, B, or C, we'll take a look. But we also want to find people who've played too. They got to have some value as far as their ability. And so that's what we think we've done here. We found 2 guys that have playing experience at a high level and could come in here and compete.
I met with the high school, like the high schoolers, do you are you more leery to go, further away?
okay.
Just because it's easy, they can come here and go, I don't like it,
No, I think we're still going through our normal process. We're still recruiting Atlanta, still recruiting Tampa, the Tampa area, kind of Hillsborough, Polk County, and then of course getting down into Frisco Allen. And so we'll be back out there here in the month of January when we get back on the road.
Finding more college teams now are not recruiting high school guys and dipping into the portal. Are you seeing less of schools that you normally
you
saw?
see more people emphasizing the portal more. I think just from within our league, you see a lot of offers coming out on young men who enter the portal. I think there's probably teams out there that have no problem saying that we're going to be portal driven. What was there? I think there's a two Power 5 teams that had probably 80-90% of their starters were, portal. And if you can do that, that's great. That's just not how we've operated in the past. We still want to be a developmental program. Again, you see, 20 outstanding high school kids and a couple portal entries of guys who we've had connection with, but also players that have more than 1 year here, so they can continue. It'd be unfair to bring a transfer in that has 1 year, because it'd take 3/4 of a year to figure out what we're doing. And then I don't know if that'd be the greatest experience for them or us. And so, again, with Hunter having 3 years and Marcus having 2, and both of them being here in the spring prior to spring ball, I don't know if you could have asked for a better situation.
Have any chance to get maybe a higher level high school recruit, because a Power 5 or Group of 5 might go into the portal instead of bringing in a freshman?
There is probably some of that. There's probably some high schoolers that are taking maybe non-Power 5 offers or commits, but you're probably also looking at some guys who are going back into the portal too after 2 or 3 years. So I don't know if it'll be interesting in 2 years to see how it all sorts out. The COVID year will be done at that time, so I think the number of kids that enter the portal, I'm hoping will decrease, but you never know.
In Frisco area, no one on this list, or no high school seniors on this list. Is that something we could see in the spring, or just nothing worked out this year?
It could be in the spring, nothing work out. I mean, we're going to find what fits us. I mean, if we don't take a young man from an area, I don't think anyone's concerned. We have to take what's best for the Bison and where we're deficient in our roster.
Quarterback Trey Drake reached out to you guys. Is that common for high school kids?
I think for really good players who have received a lot of accolades leading in after their junior year, and because of the quarterback success we've had here at NDSU, I think Coach Hedberg, Coach Roll, myself receive a lot of quarterback information or quarterback gurus out there that, hey, I have a guy, would you please take a look at it? We think he could fit in at NDSU. And so this is just one of those moments, and we had a volunteer coach this year, Mike Peters, who helped us out, who is from that area originally. And so Mike knew kind of the quarterback coach, off-season quarterback coach of Trey, and that was kind of the start of the relationship.
Much about New York high school football, because it's not an area that you've recruited, and I don't know that New York football is necessarily known, because they don't produce a lot of great athletes in New York.
I didn't know much about it. I know that he's been really competitive at what he does. I know he's Western New York. He's probably closer to PA than he is anywhere else in New York. But like I said, very good basketball player, very athletic. His sister, I think, is averaging about 30 points a game in basketball right now, twin sister. So great family. And, besides what he can do physically, the leadership piece is such an important role for our program. I mean, the minute you walk on campus and there's a QB behind your name, you have to be locked into the details, and you got to carry yourself the right way, and Trey will do that. All right, guys, have a great Christmas.